Does coffee cause dehydration? Is coffee going to shorten your lifespan? When it comes to the studies, they are done on coffee. There is not the same body of evidence supporting health benefits for, say, Monster energy drinks, Starbucks refreshers, caffeine pills. Caffeine doesn't actually add anything. All it does is shut the receptor off that makes you feel the sleep pressure. Your brain can no longer hear the fact that you're tired. You're still tired.
You don't want to start shutting off those receptors later in the day when you're supposed to be building up sleep pressure. So much drives off of sleep. And when we start to eat into that is when that becomes not beneficial for you in any way. Your coffee cup is this big, right? Half of it actual coffee and the other half of it is sugary stuff. How much coffee did you actually consume where we have some of these health benefits? Let's just take an honest look at what that is. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey. I'm Rachel. Welcome back, guys. We are thrilled to have you for another week on the podcast. And we have a ton of good information for you on this one because Rachel suffers from crippling anxiety when she drinks coffee. And I wanted to know why.
It's true. And you know what? Why. There's so much. So I've got to just tell you guys, there's been coffee and caffeine have been in the influencer space. It comes in, it comes out. And some of us are like, but wait, no, I have to have some caffeine in the morning. Do you understand having children? Or things like that. And then it's well, have your cleanse first, and you're giving yourself anxiety. And it's okay, have you heard of children? So the thing is we're going to break down some of these myths for you and break some different consumptions of caffeine and coffee because they are not the same. And let's just talk it out in a sensible way without all of the shit behind it, and just a sensible way of how we can utilize coffee and caffeine and what that looks like in a healthy lifestyle.
Listen, we're going to talk this through in a sensible way that balances. We know you guys have health and wellness at the top of your list. And we also know simultaneously life.
Life exists.
And where does coffee fit in there? Where does caffeine fit in there? What is a healthy amount? Is there a healthy amount? And the coolest thing about researching for this podcast, which I did not know before starting, is that coffee is by far one of the most studied beverages on the planet. There are hundreds, thousands, literally, of studies done on coffee. And so what I loved about this topic is it's not really one of those well, we've got to wait and see. We've got more studies coming out. This is
not lacking in research.
It is not lacking in research. It is one old ass beverage that people have been using to get hyped up for a long, long time. And that was really cool because I feel that, something that has been studied this long and has this body of research on it, we can really feel good about what we're kind of using as guidelines because, we have the science behind it.
Absolutely. And I don't think it's a secret that I love my coffee. So it's just not a secret. I have restrictions and not restrictions. I have guidelines around my coffee consumption for everyone's sake. And I've developed these over years. And we are going to talk about some of that because I know we've discussed this in small segments of with the cutoff times and whatnot. But I do have some personal guidelines of coffee consumption. And I will tell you this, my fiance is very new to caffeine. He's very new to coffee. He's had caffeine and, he needed some guidelines because I was like, yo, you are off the walls. You're making yourself all nervous. Did you just do 5 laps around the same house? You may have overdone it just a little bit. So I will tell you guys that we're not going to demonize your coffee consumption, but we are going to talk about some realistic ways that this can fit into your health and wellness lifestyle.
Because it can. And I want to put that out there that, nobody here is stealing the caffeine out of your cold, dead hands. Okay. You trust, girl.
Mm-mm.
All right. However, we want to talk about coffee and all things health and wellness in a way where it is both scientifically based, realistic, and also putting health and longevity very much at the forefront. And I think that we can do that in this discussion as long as I don't have a full on sweating, cold sweat. I did go venti this morning.
You write your own
I'm not
story.
sad. I'm not sad about it. But now that I've done the research for this podcast, I know why I metabolize a venti different than you do, different than my husband does. And I feel a lot more armed with knowledge of how to be better and use this. I always call caffeine the last legal drug. Use the
It's
last legal
true.
drug in a way that is going to serve me and not take away from my daily activities. So, all right. Is coffee healthy?
Well, here's the thing. If you've listened to the podcast before, you know that we're not going to label anything as good or bad because, that doesn't have any place in our overall balanced lifestyle. Like, I would never tell you ice cream is bad, but do I think that you should have it for breakfast every morning as part of a well balanced diet? No. So, here's the thing. Does that make it bad? Does that make it good? Nothing is inherently good or bad, and you are not those things for the choices that you make. But we did want to touch on coffee's rebrand because coffee had originally had some kind of negative connotations in the sense of it being compared to a drug. And going off of well, it just makes you nervous. I had a song that came up. I don't know if everyone was taught this in is like COFFEE. Coffee is not for me. It's a drink some people wake up with. Then it makes them nervous. Is no myth. Slaves to a coffee cup. They can't give coffee up. And I was taught that in middle
It's a
school.
vocal warm up.
It's a vocal warm up, but it just is very that definitely puts a demonizing view of coffee with being slaves to a coffee cup. So it had this massive rebrand, whereas it had this kind of negative connotation. And then we switched over to, wait a minute, we see some major health benefits from people who are drinking coffee. There's large correlations between, lowering several chronic diseases from people who are avid coffee drinkers. So where's the middle ground here? So we're seeing massive health benefits as far as lowering chronic disease from people who are consuming moderate amounts of coffee. And then we have this other side where you're a slave to a coffee cup, which is kind of feels to me more of a moral dilemma of you can't produce enough energy on your own, so you're a slave to a coffee cup. So
I totally agree
where do those
that
two things come together?
It really has had a villain to hero type of vibe over, the last 30, 40 years. And I don't think it's either, if I'm going to be honest. However, the studies showing these chronic diseases being lowered across the board in coffee drinkers. And we aren't seeing these as correlations. And we're going to go into the science of why and what happens. What are we ingesting when we ingest coffee? And that is going to be, as Kelsey said in the beginning of the podcast, that is going to be different from caffeine, right? Coffee, caffeine, two different things. Caffeine is an ingredient in coffee, but coffee is an ingredient in caffeine. So we have to talk about them separately. But and don't worry, we are going to get to your Diet Cokes, your Monster Energies, your Starbucks refreshers, whatever else you're using for caffeine as well. But when it comes to the studies, they are done on coffee specifically. There is not the same body of evidence supporting health benefits for, say, Monster energy drinks or Starbucks refreshers or caffeine pills or any other form or Diet Coke, any other form that you're taking in the caffeine. When we're talking about these studies, we need to be very specific that they are around coffee. And we are going to talk about why that is, because coffee has some things in it that are responsible for those health benefits, and caffeine does not.
Here's something I just kind of want to notice when we talk about something that we have decided has a correlation between some major, like some health benefits. We do that, and then as soon as like companies marketing take control of it, they want to dwindle it down into like, well, just take caffeine pills then. Or we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put it in a major sugary drink and we're going to serve it to you this way. We did the same thing with protein. We're doing the same thing with fiber. Whenever we have something that we find in the health and fitness industry that has some benefits and that people like and enjoy and improves their health in some way, we want to take that thing and strip all the other things out of it and then repackage it and give it to you. And what
With
I want
sugar
us
in it.
to be, with sugar in it, what I want
Make
us
sure.
to be cautious of when that happens is so often when we peel apart. So protein is the same thing. We say like protein has a ton of health benefits. Great. So as soon as you take out the protein from our major like protein sources, from our food sources, and put it in something like a bar with a bunch of sugar, and it also doesn't have the other benefits in it, which help you break down and utilize the protein, like fiber, we're not getting the same benefits. And the same thing happens with caffeine. The same thing happens with basically any other like macronutrient or something that we find has some health benefits to it. Because when we strip away the other parts, we're losing the benefit that we have. So when you're thinking about, and that's just like a sneak peek into the rest of the segment, but when you're thinking about like, okay, well, coffee has some benefits. Well, I could just take caffeine pills. It's so much easier for me to consume. Like,
I mean,
no.
listen, we're all out here making our own decisions, and if that is that is how you want to ingest caffeine, and caffeine has all of its own benefits, not necessarily health-wise, performance-wise. If that is how you want to ingest your caffeine, that is fine. However, as Kelsey said, the vehicle matters, right? The vehicle for the caffeine is kind of the difference maker between whether we can show studies showing that this is a potential health benefit or we can't. And it doesn't mean that there's not any health benefit. It just means there aren't studies backing that up currently. And so the vehicle matters. So when you drink coffee, there's a lot going on there because coffee is a bean. What do they
Is a bean.
What do we call it? No, but what do we, you know how you call it whenever I say usually like your brown bean water. You got your brown bean water?
I know, because here's the thing. I am a person who has historically drank black coffee. So I know that sounds like really gross for a lot of people. But again,
I just want to say that doesn't make you more morally outstanding. You know how like there's like this whole like she's not saying that because she thinks she's cool. Okay, she's just a weird.
No, I feel
bizarre.
better when I don't have, and there are definitely times where I mix in like a cold brew with sweet cream cold foam or like things like that. Like I'm not like mutually exclusive to black coffee. But a lot of when I'm making it at home, and just like on a daily basis, like I just feel better if I don't have some of these additive things in it. But I generally feel better with less, like a lower sugar intake in general, which a lot of things that we're adding to coffee, milk and sugar being the classic. I feel better when I don't have some of those things. And I'm also very sensitive to like milk products. So I tend to, on a larger scale, like stay away from them. But when you're drinking coffee, there's a ton of, when she said like it's a bean, but you're drinking hundreds of naturally occurring plant compounds that you're getting through those beans. So when we strip away like just actually like what's your bean water is, but we are pulling it from a plant. So it's not just like this monster. What plant does Monster Energy come from?
The monster plant. I think it's a tree. It's very creepy looking. It's got these like long, creepy.
Yeah,
It's like
so
the
if
tree
we
of
can't
terror.
easily identify, this is something like just in general I use for, in this world of health and fitness and what we're deciding to consume. If I can't easily identify like where did this come from, it's probably gonna at least get a pause or a no from me, fam, on my end, because like if I'm not easily able to identify, like my coffee is coming from a bean and that is a plant. But when we take out caffeine from that, we are taking out all of those other plant compounds that we're getting from the bean.
So those plant compounds are called polyphenols. And polyphenols are basically what plants are producing to protect themselves from environmental stress, otherwise known as antioxidants. When we ingest them, they become an antioxidant for us, meaning that they can help your body deal with some of the everyday stress, wear and tear, environmental, all of these like metabolism, sleep, inflammation, stress, these are all affected by your the amount of antioxidants that you are taking in. And coffee is surprisingly a fairly good source of polyphenols for human consumption. So is it the be all end all? Do you like have all this environmental stress and then drink a cup of coffee and it's all cleared out? No. However, is it contributing to moving in a reparative direction in the form of antioxidants? Yes, it is. And that is namely why scientists have studied it and believe that it has these health benefits because of these plant compounds that you're also ingesting along with the caffeine, not because of the caffeine.
Exactly. So we also have some chlorogenic acids in there, and those are basically metabolic helpers. And when we're thinking about, I know as soon as I said like metabolic helper, everyone has gone to, yeah, I have to poop after I have a coffee. I know that's where all of your minds went, so don't even try and hide from it. But
It's a thing. It's a thing.
it's totally a thing. But also when we're thinking about some of that's not it's not just a diuretic. That's not the language that I use. So this moderates how quickly glucose enters the bloodstream, which is obviously very important for consumption of not only the coffee that you're drinking, but the foods for the rest of your day, which where we can see some benefits there. But it supports insulin and blood sugar regulation. So when we're these are obviously very important when we're looking at like how quickly we consume foods during the day and how do we regulate our blood sugar and use that into energy, which makes complete sense when we think about like, oh, I don't just experience like quick energy from like as soon as I get caffeine, like blah blah blah, like I'm going. But then we look at blood sugar regulation for the rest of the day and we see some benefits there when you're specifically having caffeine. I mean, when you're specifically having coffee as opposed to when you're just having caffeine and you get that big caffeine rush and then you usually have a crash after when you're just isolated to some of these caffeinated drinks that are not coffee.
So these acids are basically helping handle the energy that's coming in and helping you to use it more efficiently. Now, these two things together, the antioxidant qualities along with the metabolic health, contribute to overall health benefits across the board for avid coffee drinkers. And where this gets nuanced is the fact that these benefits are present with decaf drinkers as well. And that is how we know that it is not the caffeine that is providing these benefits, it's the coffee in itself. So I think that that's a really that was
You know
pretty
what?
surprising to me.
That was really surprising to me too, and it shed some light on the fact that like people drink decaf coffee because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've always said to decaf drinkers that like it's like drinking O'Doul's. Like, what's the point?
Why?
You know what I mean? Like, and everyone who like they're like, you know what, this is for people who drink O'Doul's and they're not drinking alcohol. It's just kind of like they're like, well, I just don't want. But I'm like, but why though? It's not like coffee is particularly delicious. I don't like go out of my way and say like I just can't wait to. It's more of like I want the benefits from it. But it does make sense when you actually are getting some of these benefits from those who are drinking decaf coffee and they're not just riding that high of the caffeine like some of us are, but they are experiencing these other benefits from drinking those coffee beans.
We got to interrupt the podcast because Fright Fest 2026 has arrived this week.
It is upon us. Fright Fest drops Friday, 8/21 for those of you who are peeking on the calendars. And if you have been with us, Fright Fest is one of our biggest events of the year. This is our second Fright Fest that we have done where we release all of our Halloween spooky patterns on the same day. And we're doing it bigger and better this year because we're adding some discounts for you. And we're bringing back some fan favorites that have previously sold out multiple times that you guys have demanded we bring back, like Monster Mash, Slasher. These things are coming back at a discount for you, along with a ton of new spooky prints.
Our spooky prints are some of the most viral that we have in company history. They are so incredible, and you're going to be able to get them at a discount. We've got all new patterns coming out, some of our spookiest and cutest stuff ever. If you've got a Halloween 5K, if you're going trick-or-treating with your kids, parties, all kinds of crazy, spooktacular events, you are going to be the best dressed because we have all you need. It's spooky on 10, babes.
Everything you need. And honestly, don't sleep on the shirts this year because they're so funny, they're so appropriate, and they're so perfect for this time of year. So Fright Fest 2026, mark it in your calendar. You do not want to be late because inventory on a lot of these items is very limited and will sell out, as you know, in the past. We do our best to restock some of these things for you, but I know that some of these patterns are going to sell out day one. So here's your insider podcast information on that. But mark your calendar for August 21st, 2026.
Fright Fest is here, baby. It's cool to look into these studies, and it was really interesting to think of coffee having the plant magic that it does, because I do not think of it like that at all. When it's totally a caffeine vehicle, just the cheapest and most available one around me. So that's what I use. But the fact is that it does have some plant magic, and that it's the plant magic in itself that is contributing to health benefits in all the studies that have been done on coffee. Now, does that mean caffeine is bad? Okay, are we saying then that the coffee
all these benefits are solely from coffee and caffeine is bad?
Listen, we never are going to do this. No matter how many times you try to catch us, Linda.
You want us to.
You want us to. You want me to say caffeine is bad, and so isn't this thing and the other thing. Listen, I'm never going to tell you that something is a good category or a bad category. I am going to say that here's the facts. Caffeine is one of the most effective performance-enhancing compounds that we know of. It is also one of the most readily available. Those two things coming together in the perfect storm mean that pretty much anyone on the planet can easily, quickly, and affordably enhance their performance.
Yay, and that's for us. Yay for us. But I want to just clarify when we're saying enhanced performance, that's not just for elite athletes, and that's not the sole type of performance that we're looking for. Increase alertness, improve athletic and exercise performance, improve cognitive performance, reduce perceived fatigue. Like these are just general things that like when you put those into your everyday life, whether it's talking about like your work performance and just cognitive fatigue and how quickly your brain is working with alertness, or it's just if your job is being a parent, like how alert you are, how cognitively available you are. That's why when we get up with small children in the morning, we're like, just let me just take three sips of this.
3 sips before you speak.
And we will get to
no questions
little blue
before
truck. No questions, just let me consume this. And there's a reason for that though. Like I think like we have put it in this category of some type of like moral failure or like whatever, but there is overall this is the quickest performance enhancer essentially for whatever type of that went into several different performances, right? That you're looking to improve during the day or like when you wake up or whatever. So we can definitely see that. I do want to say that you need to be careful with how soon or how long you're consuming caffeine or coffee throughout the day, and that is not then affecting your sleep at night, which then is just this massive loop of tired to like fake alert.
all the vicious cycles that come with. Listen, any performance enhancing stimulant is going to have its benefits and its drawbacks, and it's knowing how to use it smart and knowing how to use it effectively and knowing how to not misuse it. That is the key. And that is what hopefully we're going to do today. But I really do also want to point out the fact that the caveat with caffeine and why it kind of stands different in my mind as far as performance enhancing is it's temporary, and 2, it's not cumulative. So with some of the things that we do supplementally, so like for example, we talked about creatine and how it enhances there's many studies in the works right now talking about enhancing cognitive function and long-term benefits for the brain and brain health from regular creatine intake. Now, that's a cumulative and non-temporary situation. So we're taking in creatine every day in the recommended in doses, and we are building up the benefits of it, right? Caffeine's not like that. It's here and gone, and you do not see next day benefits. Wow, I'm sharper today. Wow, I've been drinking coffee for 3 years and I really am like overall I'm just getting better and better. In fact, it is a situation where we do develop a tolerance. So that is kind of why,
Wouldn't that be
although
cool,
it
though?
is that would be so rad.
If we could drink coffee like this morning and tomorrow morning, it's like, well, it has an accumulative effect. I get energy at this time from my caffeine. I'm just going to draw on it. That would be really cool. But I do want to say, like, although it's not an accumulative effect, I do want to say, like, when we're talking about some of these enhancers, we can use it in a way that gives us that accumulative effect.
Good point. That's a really good point.
We are able to do things with the energy we have that day that will give us energy for the next day. Like, for example, like I used to work out in the mornings and I wasn't heading in there without a coffee. And if you asked me to, I probably wouldn't show up. But because I stole a little bit of energy from my morning coffee, I was able to get a workout in, which gives me energy throughout the day. Like these types of things are giving us the ability to put some things in place that will give us those long-term effects.
Plus, you don't get fired. So you can
You're
like
staying
pay
awake
mortgage.
at your desk.
I'm just saying that's cumulative. I get to pay my mortgage every month because I didn't get fired today. I would have to fire myself.
I was cognitively sharper. Then I use that information in a week.
Listen, I think though I really want to explain the sort of why on the cognitive because this does have incredible benefits. Have you heard of the Nappuccino?
No.
Oh my God. So a lot of professional athletes, and professional athletes have access to some of the best and brightest when it comes to performance enhancing um, doctors. But there is a doctor who currently literally prescribes a Nappuccino to her NBA players. And what it is it's a very specific protocol of caffeine and a short 10 to 20-minute nap. And the performance enhancing, because the caffeine takes about 15 to 20 minutes to actually kick in, it's like a double whammy. So you drink the caffeine, you have to fall asleep. The caveat is you have to fall asleep like right away, because obviously if you hit that 20-minute mark and you haven't fallen asleep yet, then you're skyrocket, right? So you drink the coffee, go to sleep for 20 minutes. When you wake up, you have both the benefits of a 20-minute nap and the caffeine hitting at exactly the same time.
I love
And
that.
then you go out and play a basketball game, and like you're like leading the league in all time in 3 points. I'm just saying, like,
Or
this
your
is
personal improvement, your personal performance is just improved.
so. I mean, she's measuring it with NBA athletes, and she has like literal measurable data of like they're jumping higher, they're running faster, they're scoring more baskets. Like these are like she has measurable, but like for all of us, there's things that we could do on a Nappuccino.
For a Nappuccino.
But here's
Things
why,
I would do for
though.
just a Nappa.
Keep the chino. Could I just like a 3-hour? No, that's not good for you. We should do an episode on naps too, because I've done like a lot of research on like maximizing the nap, and because like there's like a nap, and then there's like
I want to tell you
disrupting
guys, like,
your sleep cycle.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not a napper. I'm like historically not a napper. It's a weird thing. But my 4-year-old is also not a napper. And while we were traveling, she was falling asleep in the car and then had, woke up at the end. And I said, "Hey, you could pick up naps again if you wanted to." And I'm just saying, if I was you, I would do that. Just a little. It doesn't need to be crazy. Like a 45-minute just in the afternoon. Kobe's already sleeping during that time. Like you could just be like, I'm
Whole
gonna
dark
nap again.
room.
Yeah. These conditions, I'm like,
you got nothing to do. You literally have no responsibilities whatsoever.
And you've
Why don't
had
you
your
just lay down?
lunch, just a little rest. Doesn't everyone just like sit there and be like, yeah, that sounds excellent. You go hard in the morning, you have your lunch, then you just get into a cold, dark room with your sound machine, and you're just like, I'm gonna have a little rest, and I'm gonna wake up and go hard again in the afternoon. You could do this. I pitched it to her. She was like, I'm not sure.
There's this sticker book that I've been meaning to get to. It's like, damn.
It's like, you don't know what you're missing. I was like, when you're 30, we're going to come back to this conversation.
So on the why like a caffeine is different from like a creatine, for example, this was very interesting to me. Like how is caffeine working? Like, why does it give us energy? What is going on? I understand it's a stimulant. I understand on a very basic level what a stimulant does, but why? What's going on? And this was probably the most interesting body of research for me, because it's not actually giving you anything, which, damn, I thought it was sending in some things that were like punching my brain up, and it was like, yo, brain, get punched up. And like it was adding something. Caffeine doesn't actually add anything. It is a blocker. So what happens is you have this chemical in your brain, adenosine. I think that's how you say it. Adenosine. Irrelevant. It builds up in your day, throughout the day in your brain. And basically, the more it builds up, the more you want to sleep. You think of it like a sleep pressure chemical. It's like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And it goes and it builds more and more and more throughout the day. The more that builds up, the sleepier you feel. Now, caffeine, all it does, it's not adding anything. It's not sending in fighters. It's not punching your brain in any way. All it does is shut the receptor off that makes you feel the sleep pressure. So instead of your brain getting all that adenosine and like being like, okay, we're gonna get tired slowly throughout the day, all the receptors for that are blocked. And so your brain can no longer hear the fact that you're tired. You're still tired, though. That's the thing that is always the caveat for me.
Well, you didn't
with
get
caffeine.
the nap unless you had your Nappuccino. You're still tired.
All that's happening there is you're like, okay, I can see that my gas tank is on empty. Rather than feeling it, I'm just going to put a piece of tape over the gas tank gauge. I can't see that anymore. If I can't see it, it's not happening. That's all caffeine is.
Well, that's why
it's
we
the
talked
piece
about
of tape.
That's why, like, we mentioned the loop, though. That's why we mentioned, like, timing of caffeine and timing of coffee is really important because, like, we don't want to get into the loop of shutting off your receptors for feeling tired too late in the day where your sleep pressure is supposed to be building up. Therefore, you have the ability to fall asleep at night. Because essentially, I mean, we have a lot of several sleep podcasts where we have sleep experts on the podcast. And we have hit on caffeine several times, but unanimously 8 hours before you have decided is your bedtime is across the board. They suggest not having caffeine within that time period. And for a lot of people, that means 1 o'clock is usually your cutoff for caffeine. And that's because sleep pressure needs to build during the day. But we don't need it to be building in the morning. We need to be awake and alert and then being able to like utilize some of the energy and build on it throughout the day. But that's why timing is very important because we don't want to start shutting off those receptors later in the day when you're supposed to be building up sleep pressure, because that's when we get into this vicious cycle of masking our fatigue and masking our tiredness essentially to a point where we're going to bed later, we're not sleeping when we actually are tired, but you're not feeling it quite as much. But that doesn't mean you're less fatigued. Your body, your mind, everything needs to rest. And we don't want to shut off all of those receptors so late in the day. And then we get into this vicious cycle of less and less sleep and then pushing through with more and more caffeine. That's where I feel we start to get into, because we talked a lot about the health benefits of coffee during this podcast, but that's where I start to get into like, hey, we need to take a look at this and this isn't beneficial or healthy for you, because we know that lower anxiety comes with the appropriate amounts of sleep. Regulating your hormones metabolism comes with regulating your sleep. It like so much drives off of sleep. And when we start to eat into that is when that becomes not beneficial for you in any way.
Absolutely. I mean,
no matter how many antioxidants.
Listen, the only thing that has more studies backing its longevity than coffee is sleep. So, I mean, and again, we said, it's the plant magic. You can get it from decaf. It's not the caffeine that is the benefit. The caffeine is simply there for a short-term performance enhancement. When that comes into disrupting other recovery cycles, you're getting into the danger zone. And, knowing that caffeine was doing nothing to eliminate my fatigue, it was just masking it, feels a little bit trickery. And for myself, I am, not a big one on trickery for my body. I am a big one on enhancement. And so like that gave me pause of like, okay, how much caffeine do I want to be ingesting? When do I want to be ingesting it? Because it is not adding anything to my overall health. It's simply masking symptoms of fatigue. And I don't know that I want to mask those to a point where, as you said, I no longer am feeling the need for the restorative sleep that is necessary for me to be at my best. while we're talking about some of the drawbacks when it comes to coffee, we have to talk about the vehicle, guys.
It is
because
important.
coffee stopped being coffee a long time ago.
It really did, though. Have you ever I'm many years away from my honeydew era, but that was where my coffee love started, and that was not coffee.
Then you having a milkshake? Were you having a milkshake
It was
for breakfast?
a milkshake with like a little bit of caffeine in it, and I was like, this is just a. And then when you come out of that phase, you're like, wow, that really wasn't coffee. And we really do need to talk about some of these vehicles because let's just be honest about what we're drinking and what we're consuming, because if you listen to the first half of this podcast, you're thinking to yourself like, and I'm gonna go get myself a coffee right now, and it's gonna be a double chocolate extravaganza, and we're
Sprinkles.
like, sprinkles, maybe
give
just
me
a little bit of
that
whipped cream.
Caramel drizzle.
But honestly, if you're doing this little dancey dance on your way to get your coffee, I'm actually gonna stop myself in the tracks and say, just keep going. Just keep going.
Just keep
if it means you get this dancey dance, I feel like that's good for your soul, and that's just what we have to talk about. But when we're coming to the actual health benefits of where this becomes sketchy, it's where coffee becomes a dessert. And that doesn't mean when we're just having it, after dinner as part of like some type of coffee ice cream or whatever. Like that's not just what we're talking about. We're talking about when we are turning our drinks into a dessert, essentially.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves, guys.
Yeah, and what that
honesty.
looks like. Just honesty. So if you drink black coffee, if you drink cold brew, if you drink espresso americano, plain iced coffee, like you're getting these benefits, and you're looking at, the caffeine, the polyphenols, the chlorogenic acid, antioxidants, and the bioactive compounds that you're getting from coffee. So I would give you, like, if we have something on screen that goes like, check, green light, you're getting
doesn't
some
matter
of these
hot
things.
or cold. It doesn't matter like espresso. None of that matters. The vehicle that the coffee comes in, the espresso, the plain iced coffee, the cold brew, that's where we have to start saying like, okay, coffee is this thing.
Coffee is this thing. This other thing.
Double chocolate espresso with 3 shakes of pumps of this and the whipped cream and the sprinkles.
Well, here's the thing. Like, let's just start looking at it. Doesn't erase the benefits. Like, it doesn't just like take all of those out. But we do have to look at, if you're thinking about your coffee cup is this big, right? And half of it is with actual coffee, and the other complete half of it is with a bunch of sugary blah 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 stuff. How much coffee did you actually consume where we have some of these health benefits of it? Let's just take an honest look at what that is, and what are the other things that you're adding to the coffee. Are those at the level that you are consuming them? Do you want to have that as a part of your daily diet? And the reason why I think this is important to bring up is because coffee is one of those things that we have on a daily basis, that we work into habits that, like, every time I get in my car, I need a little treat. And it's usually, for me, like, this means I need a little coffee treat.
Put on my sunglasses.
For some reason,
I need a treat.
I need a little treat. And it's when it becomes something that you're consuming on a daily basis, that's when I really would like you to take a look at any of those things. Because if you're saying, like, just when I go to this place, I need a little treat, but it's not something I do on a daily basis, okay, then we look at it honestly. Yeah. Cool. But if it's like, what are you making at your house for coffee on a daily basis? How many cups are you drinking? And how much of it is actually coffee, and how much of it is some of these very heavily sugary things? Hey, you.
Thanks for getting in touch with the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast.
We love your questions and adore hearing from you.
Leave us a hello,
a burning question,
feedback,
or anything else you want to share with us on the podcast.
We will play your message live on air if we can.
Thanks for being an amazing friend. Stay safe and moving.
Let's be honest. Sugar and whatever else we're adding is never going to negate the benefits, right? No one's taking your antioxidants from you if you are drinking coffee in any form. However,
well, there's still milk and ice cream, right? Like there's
so I was going to say, remember that podcast that you did where you were like, yo, everybody can stop like demonizing ice cream because there are several nutritional things, like there's protein in ice cream. Listen, should it be your sole protein source? No, but is it only a vat of like poor choice and sadness and tears and regret? No, it's not. It has some nutritional benefits to it. Do the nutritional benefits outweigh the potential non-nutritious choice? Listen, that's a choice we're all making on our own self, but it's still not going to take away the fact that you are going to get some nutrients from ice cream, that you are going to get some nutrients from a triple chocolate latte with all the cold foam and sprinkles. However, here's how I do it. And this is not advice. This is just like a simple thing that I've done for myself. When it comes to what I want to put in my coffee or what I want to consume in a drink, because it gets so weird when it all goes into a drink and then you just drink it. It's like it didn't happen. And I don't know. It's all dissolved in there. It's like I don't
know what's in there. Coffee.
Coffee. Some delicious chocolate and syrup.
Don't worry about those other colors.
What are those sprinkles? Don't worry about them, is what I said to you. Don't worry about those. It's the crunch. Here's what I usually hold up as a standard when it comes to additions to my coffee. Would I consume those things straight up if the coffee wasn't there? So, for example, you got a new beverage out at Starbucks. It's a triple chocolate, delicious brownie sundae. I love that, the way it sounds. Yes, I'm in for it. I look and I see that it has 6 pumps of chocolate syrup in it. Would I personally pump 6 things of chocolate into my mouth and swallow them? I wouldn't. And so I'm not going to put it in a coffee and then do it that way. I just take the thing all by itself and say, if the coffee wasn't there, would I have, 5 tablespoons of whipped cream at 6 a.m.? I personally, some days maybe, but every day I wouldn't. And so why would I put that in my coffee every morning? And that's just kind of like what I do for it. If it doesn't stand alone as something that I would consume by itself, then I really try not to do it every single day in my coffee.
Love that. Well, I think that the overall thought behind that is like the sugar intake has its own health considerations that you need to think about for your overall daily whatever, that doesn't just hide under the guise of like, hey, Kelsey and Rachel said coffee was healthy. So
Come here, baby.
Yeah. So although I put a bunch of, this stuff in it, like that it's not negating some of the health benefits, but it does have its own considerations for sugar intake, which we very much need to be aware of, especially when we're looking at how, coffee is regulating your blood sugar. What is the sugar that you're adding doing to that, and balancing that out? I'm not saying you can't add sugar or sweet things to your coffee. Let's just like put it into consideration. So what
can we talk to the people who are here for the caffeine, not here for the coffee?
Yes.
Because there is, I don't know who you people are or why you're at, no. No, I mean, coffee's an acquired taste. I don't know what to say. Like little kids smell coffee and they're like, "Good God, what are you doing to yourself?"
Know.
That's
wants to
absolutely
taste it every
disgusting.
time, and I'm like, "You're not gonna like it." And I'm considering just letting her taste it so that she understands that's not what she wants to have. Because she comes over and is like, "Can I just have a taste?" I'm like, "No, you can't." But also, like, you're not gonna like it. Like, it's gonna be gross.
there are a set amount of people, and I don't know, they belong on an island somewhere, but if you don't like the taste of coffee, but you do like the benefits of stimulants, then you might be one of our energy drink, Diet Coke at 2 p.m. kind of girlies, or right now, and you can kind of use some of these coffee shops as an overall pulse on the trend of like where people are wanting to receive their caffeine. The market for fruit flavored energy drinks right now, like off the charts, because there are definitely people who are, I do not like the taste of coffee, but I do want the stimulant, and so I'm going to get it in a different form. And so we're going to play a little game here. I want you to tell me which is the healthiest. I did air bunnies. The healthiest, okay? Which nutritionally has the most benefits? Not necessarily that the others are bad, but here's what I'm going to give you. We've got a Monster. We've got a Starbucks Refresher, a Diet Coke, a cold brew coffee, or a caffeine pill. Which one of those is the quote unquote healthiest choice?
Are we leaving this to our listeners? Or
you answer.
Cold brew.
So why you say that?
Because I love cold brew.
Yes.
Personally, I just love cold brew.
Because I picked my favorite, and
I personally would never have, and no shame, I personally would never have a Monster energy drink. If you peek over at the ingredients of what are in those, it's a scary list back there. It's got a lot of shit. Also, I don't like the taste of anything that is I think I say heavily sugared, but I don't think that's like exactly what I mean. If it has any like fake sugar, if it has any of the like I know these like strawberry flavored or these fruit flavored things are big right now, but like I personally don't like them. I think I'm just like a coffee connoisseur to the nth degree. But also we've listened to this podcast and have listened to all the benefits of coffee as opposed to what you're not getting from caffeine pills and such. So
that is why the caffeine pill was not the chosen one. Because I think a lot of people might have gone immediately to the one with no calories, no sugar. However, interestingly enough, it is the cold brew. And that is because, as we discussed earlier, caffeine's just caffeine, babe. It doesn't have that plant magic. Why not the refresher? Because a lot of people are like, wait a minute, that has fruit. Fruit is a mango, acai. Acai. Do you know about the benefits of acai?
That has a Nav's moment too.
Here's the deal. If you're making your own refresher with like some green tea and you're adding fresh fruit to it, like go girl, go. If you are stopping in at Starbucks, you are getting freeze dried fruit cut up in teensy tiny pieces that pound for pound with a cold brew do not have the benefits that you're looking
sits
for.
In fruit juice. That's not just cut up fruit.
There are natural and artificial flavoring in there. There is sugar in there that is
not never
going to demonize. We're never going to demonize sugar. We're never going to demonize it, and it shouldn't be demonized. It is an essential part of what makes we say go. However, in the amounts that it can be found in the refreshers, it's not giving the same health benefits as the antioxidants and the plant benefits that come with a plain cold brew coffee. So just something to consider. And I want to talk for a second to my Diet Coke girlies, but there's 0 calories. Okay. There's 0 sugar. All right. Here's the thing. I'm not going to pry your Diet Coke out of your cold dead hands at 2 p.m. because there are, everybody's out here making our own choices. The reason why the coffee gets the more healthy label is because we have no studies whatsoever showing health benefits from Diet Coke. There just aren't any. There is caffeine in it. Yes, absolutely. You're getting a stimulant. It is absolutely going to enhance your performance. However, coming along with that, we do not have any antioxidants. You can
From
say,
the Diet
okay, well,
Coke
there's
tree?
no calories.
From the Coke
so
where again, we whittle this back to where does it come from? Listen, I get it. People feel passionately about their Diet Coke, but I think we do need to look at those with very realistic a realistic lens, just a true lens, because if you like something and it improves your day and improves your mood, improves your life, like don't let me tell you any different. But when I'm talking about like what is that consumption looking like for health benefits in your body, I wouldn't be your friend if I didn't tell you the truth. Like the zero part of it actually should be more of a red flag to you than I want to buy that. Honestly,
zero, as in zero nutrients.
Yeah. Because
There's
like we have to reframe our mind from like, well, how much of can I get closer to 0 calories or 0 anything, and reframe into like, what can I get out of this that's going to help me be the, strongest, healthiest, most energetic version of yourselves, and none of that is 0. Right? Like that we're not getting any nutrients that are going to be in a plus. So I think it's like a complete mindset shift when we start to look at some of these like 0 things as like something that we should be reaching for, and actually something we should be shying away from, because they're not providing you with anything that is actually going to be beneficial for you.
Imagine if the label was just like 0 antioxidants.
Yeah.
0 health benefits.
0 health benefits.
I mean, essentially, when we take things down to 0, that's kind of what we're doing. And but again, as we said, like, listen, if it's improving the quality of your life and you are like, this is my thing.
Unapologetic about it, go for it. But like,
be unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
But also when we're doing something every single day, like I know how people are about their caffeine beverages. It is a habitual thing. And whenever we do something every single day, we need to be looking at like it with like a lens that is appropriate for. I'm not talking about going out to ice cream once a month. I don't care what is all happening there. Don't tell me about the calories. I don't care.
And honestly, maybe if you're not like, it has to be like 0, Coke 0, whatever it is. Maybe you're like, well, I do like coffee. I want to swap that up in between. Then maybe this gives you that out to be like, well, that I was going to have caffeine either way, and maybe I'll choose a different source.
I personally,
but if it's 2 p.m., that's too late.
I know. See, that's my 2 p.m. problem is like, I do need something. So
peanut butter.
Well, yeah, peanut butter is great. I like a drink though. I'm that girl. And I also like the drink to be bubbly. So I'm just offering this up as like a thing that I'm doing is, I'm doing those little, what are those ones called? The seltzers with the like fruit juice added. What are those called again? You know what I mean? Any seltzer really is like, they have cool flavors. It's like cherry lime, and like maybe what you were searching for was like a bubbly flavor.
Seltzers.
The ones I'm talking about. Anyways, they have really fun flavors. Okay. So I've been doing that at 2, and like, I don't get the caffeine because
you get the little bubble.
But I get a little bubble. I get a splash of fruit juice, which gives me a little like, ooh, I'm zesty. Look how zesty I am out here. And, it feeds that habit of like.
For sure. Half of it's just a habit.
I think more than half, to be honest.
Yeah.
My brain is like, it loves its routine.
You know what we do in my house, actually? So she needs to have her little bubbly. We have like, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock crunchies, and like, my house is just dripping with ADHD people who need like crunchy things. And it's like, where's the crunchies? It's not, am I hungry? No. Do I even need a pick-me-up?
Need.
I
need a
I need a
direct
crunchy.
back to that hunger episode. Remember when we did like some hunger is just a sensory need. I need bubbles. You need crunchies.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, your 3 o'clock crunchies.
Me over here. Want me over here with my pop chips? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Again, not providing anything maybe nutritionally, however,
Providing
we're out here.
it's filling a need that we're out here getting our crunchies on, and that helps focus and meet a different need, and then we move on with our days.
So I think we've done a pretty okay job at talking about caffeine compared to coffee. And I think you in particular have done an exceptional job of talking about when caffeine can become not a helper anymore and put you into a vicious cycle. And I just want to highlight for all my people who are in that vicious cycle, it can be uncomfortable for sure. There is a thing. Caffeine withdrawal is a real thing. There are people that get headaches when they do not have their 2 o'clock Diet Coke. However, what I would say is that short-term discomfort is often necessary for long-term benefits, and that's just the facts. So, when caffeine starts replacing sleep, we are in a major, major health danger zone. And I really want to, I'm so hot on sleep right now. It's like beyond. I just really want to hit that home. I also want to talk to my anxiety people for a second. The speed at which you drink your coffee is a major factor into whether or not your coffee is going to send you into jittery, and that's like a really important factor. When I started doing research on this podcast, I set a timer. It's like, I cannot finish my coffee in under an hour. Like, I have to watch the timer and like go slow enough. If you're thirsty, have a drink of water and then keep you know what I mean? Because the speed at which it's entering your body is absolutely a difference maker between like a more slow burning energy and like a big, like anxious sweat fest.
I do think that's important for some of the more anxious, or anxiety prone people to understand that it's not just a one size fits all of you have coffee, you're anxious, or you don't have coffee, you're not anxious, that there are some nuances to the rate in which you consume your coffee that could make a difference if you do enjoy coffee. Or sometimes, I know like sometimes people go like, sometimes I feel the benefits and sometimes I'm an anxious mess, and I haven't been able to figure out what the difference is there. Understanding the rate is a massive difference, because sometimes we're doing things, especially like drinking coffee autonomically, and we're just not like, I don't know, did I have 10 cups?
I blacked out.
What happened?
I blacked out. What happened? The chocolate was just so delicious. I just kept. I had to get through the whipped cream. Yeah,
I literally have said in my house, who drank all the coffee? And it's like, ma'am, you've been in here 3 times. I'm going to run you through
a rapid fire last myth busters segment, and you see what you say. Does caffeine raise cortisol?
Yes.
Yes, true. However, cortisol is not the enemy that we want to make it out to be all the time, especially when it's in appropriate doses. It is the long raise of cortisol that we need to be worried about, the long-term elevated rate. Caffeine raises your cortisol, but it is temporary. So healthy people have a spike in cortisol every morning that happens naturally in your body. That's the like get up and go that gives you the energy to face the day. We do not and have not seen any harm from an elevated cortisol level, again, during the morning hours, where that is a benefit and it's temporary. It will come down. It's just that elevated constantly that we want to look out for. does caffeine or coffee cause dehydration? No. I thought this for so long.
I know. But people, that's so nuanced because if you are if you're not drinking any water and you're just drinking coffee, you are more likely to become like more dehydrated because you're not drinking quite as much water. But that's not, one doesn't cause the other. It's
Right. And because coffee has that mild diuretic, like, a lot of people
you're
gotta
peeing a
go,
lot,
right?
you gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, it is a diuretic, so like, yeah, it's running through a little bit quicker. So, but it's not causing dehydration. Like you can drink your coffee and also drink water. Like those
It
two things can
hydrates
happen
more
at the
than it
same time.
dehydrates, in other
Yes,
words. But
it
yes,
still has the
is it,
water in it. It's your bean
um,
water.
and it's a bean water. And last but not least, is coffee going to shorten your lifespan? Interestingly enough, evidence says the
On the
opposite.
contrary, it is
On the
actually
contrary, lowers all causes of mortality, lowers cardiovascular mortality, lower liver disease, lower type 2 diabetes. I'm not gonna listen. If coffee had just been found, I feel it would be rebranded as like a health food.
yeah, for
If
sure.
if we were just coming around to this bean and we were like, look at this bean, what it does is amazing as a health food. It has some really cool benefits, but
When people try to
maybe
demonize my coffee, I actually send those to them. Like, I'll be out living you all drinking my coffee. I have like a meme with it.
I love
Don't worry about
that.
me.
Don't worry about me. Okay. Just watch your vehicle. Just watch how the caffeine is getting into your body, but don't demonize coffee. Don't demonize caffeine. It has its place. But as with everything, we really need to be cognizant of how it's affecting some of our other systems. But if you leave this podcast with nothing else, know this: the benefits of coffee in itself are scientifically proven, and we're backing you up, girl.
We're backing you up. Not all the way with your little treat, but
It's just
but
a
I told you, if you do your
treat.
little dancey dance, then I'm still gonna back it up.
If
All
you
right,
need
guys.
whipped cream this morning, girl, I'm
Just
gonna
a little
dance
bit,
for
a
you.
little dollop.
Oh, come on. It's a dollop. Let's have
It's
our
just a
life.
dollop. Let's have our life. Enjoy your coffee, enjoy your caffeine. Know the difference between the two, and they are not mutually exclusive when it comes to health benefits. Hopefully, this was helpful for you. And if there's something else that you'd like us to break down in a further episode that you feel like is just one of those things that maybe got a rebrand, or you're not sure if it's, beneficial for you on a daily basis, let us know what that is, and we're happy to break it down in an episode. We love you guys. Have an amazing week.